Hi, I'm Mike from Mike's Carburetor Parts. I'm working on a series of videos for the Motorcraft 2100 2-barrel carburetor, and this is part 3. We're going to assemble the float bowl, and but just before I do that, I'm going to put the spark valve in the bottom. This one uses a round gasket. Goes on like so. And what you do is that you want to turn your carburetor upright so that your gasket stays where it's supposed to be, so it doesn't slide off. And these are should be fairly tight, and I'll go back and tighten it up because I of course forgot my wrench. Alright, so on the inside we're going to put in the main jets first. And let's see, these are numbered 50s. Typically on the motor, on these 2 barrels, they run around 47 to 50. Kind of depends on where you are and what you do with it. I do sell jets for these of all sizes. And under the jet listing where I sell these, there's an explanation or a tutorial, small tutorial on how to figure out what is the right size jets for your carburetor. It's kind of an involved process, but it's kind of important to have the right jets in there. Bigger is not necessarily better. We got our little umbrella. I don't know, it's kind of like a check valve. But it goes right in here. I've already cut the tip off of it. They're too long to start with. I stick it in the hole and then just kind of pull it through with needle nose. You want to be sure it's not too long to where it might hit the float. The next thing we will do is put in the needle and seat, or the seat anyway at this point, and it has a little fiber gasket that goes on the bottom of it, and it's important to have that gasket in there, otherwise the fuel will leak by around the seat and it'll flood out. So if you've done a rebuild and you're having flooding problems, that's one thing you want to check. Make sure you did put a gasket on there, and we'll snug this up. Doesn't have to be super tight. I had this together once, that's why it's all like this, but let me take this apart. This can be just a little bit complicated. Alright, so you have your float shaft, and it goes through here like this. And make sure you get it in right. You just size it up there, put it in there, and see if that's going to be right, which it is. Okay, and then we have this little clip, and this is going to hold the float in there at the right place. And so we just simply clip it on at the correct spots there. Okay, so that's the clip. Next thing I will do is put the needle in here. And you see there's a clip I put on there. It comes in the kit, and it goes like so. Now what that little clip is for is when the float comes up, it facilitates bringing the needle out of the seat, you know, in case it's a little sticky. Alright, you just let your float down in there, and then this little clip clips around the seat. There's a little groove in the seat. Just push it down until it snaps into there. Okay. Now, as far as the let me grab my ruler here. As far as the float level, you're going to have to look at your specifications. It's different for every vehicle. Anyway, just come in right about here, and you're going to measure the level from the top of the float to the top of the float bowl. Simple as that, and just measure it like so. till you get the right side or right level. Okay, and you'll see the float is basically level when it's pushed up. You got to hold it up against here. Now, if you need to adjust the float, you bend this little tab right here, up or down. It's best that you don't put any pressure on your needle. You might damage the Teflon or whatever that is on the tip of it. So anyway, that's the float, as simple as that. If you have any doubts about the float being good, if you happen to have a nitrofill float, that's looks like a black plastic, be sure to replace the float. They're trouble. Over the long haul, they will absorb fuel. You can get brass floats for these 2100s, fortunately, until they quit making them. We can anyway, and I always replace the float generally when I do a rebuild. But at any rate, I have a video out there on how to test this float. So, okay, so we're gonna let's see. The next thing we're gonna do is work on this part here, and I'm gonna turn off the video just a minute and get prepared for that, and come right back to you. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to put the accelerator pump together. I need it on next because we're going to have to test our check ball installation here, and we're going to need the accelerator pump to do that. So you see I already have my accelerator pump arm on here. The hole here that it goes in depends on the application, and that's on your data sheet when you buy the kit. So be sure to get that in the right hole. So what we have here is we're going to put this spring in here first, see how it fits there, doesn't get in the way of the little red umbrella there, and our accelerator pump goes on like so. And now these things here tend to get warped. People tighten them down too much, so you can put it in the vise, try and get it as flat as you can. Sometimes I have taken and filed the corners a little bit so that they sit down a little flatter, but you know, get as flat as you can before you put it on. Okay, so there we go. Now I sprayed this with the accelerator pump with silicone spray lubricant before I put it on. That'll help keep it from sticking in case I have to take it off. And incidentally, if you don't drive much, this accelerator pump is one of the first things to go because of the ethanol. So if your vehicle is going to sit around a whole lot, you might have an extra accelerator pump sitting around so you can replace it. Do sell those separately from the kit if you need one. Oops, I forgot one thing before I put this on. That's because I usually put the accelerator pump rod on after. In this case I had it on here already. Okay, so you're going to put this in the inside hole, just like that. Okay. Don't forget your spring. And don't lose that spring. You can't buy them. And now that you got your cover all straight, don't screw the screws so hard that you warp it out of shape again. Now you'll notice the hole right here in the cover, that's for the place for the gasoline to come out. If your pump is ruptured, that's where your gas will leak out. So if you see that leaking out, you know your accelerator pump is bad. Alright, snug all of these down, And there we go. Alright, so now we got some accelerator pump action. So what we're going to do next is we're going to put we got a check ball here that goes right in here, and we want to make sure that it's not going to leak. And we also have our little shaft. This actually is a check weight that goes on top of it. And what you want to do here is fill your float bowl up with actually I use mineral spirits. I suppose you could use gasoline if you want, but I don't like to have these sitting around after they've had gas in them, so I use mineral spirits. So anyway, you hold that down, and you'll pump. Well, first you want to make sure the fuel is coming through, so just don't put any pressure on it, and pump your accelerator pump, and you should see some liquid come out of this hole when it's pumping. So that's what happens when you step on the gas. You need that little extra gasoline for the accelerator pump. This is where it's going to come out. Okay, now after you do that, hold this down, put a little pressure on it, and pump it again, and you'll probably feel some pressure where it doesn't want to pump, and that's what you want. That's good. And you don't necessarily want any liquid coming through here. A slight amount's not going to hurt, but basically you want to make sure that ball is seated. Now, if you are getting too much fuel by it, put a brass strip punch in here, and kind of whack on, not real hard, just tap on it 2 or 3 times. That'll help seat the check ball into the. Remember, this is aluminum, so don't take much. And what you don't want to do, if you wrap it too hard, you're not going to get the check ball back out. It's going to be stuck in there, and then you're screwed, as they say. So anyway, that's how you test that. I'm not going to go through that right now. I think I demonstrated that good enough. And as usual, I don't have everything out here. Alright, the check ball's in there. We put our little check weight there, and we got our gasket that goes on here. I just got to spray it here. Okay, a little lubricant on it. Alright, so it fits in there just right. And then you got your little be sure to blow these out. You got a lot of little holes in it. Try not to stick any wires in it. You'll make the holes bigger. But you know, get your blowgun and just make sure you're getting air through it when you blow. There's a couple here. Right here is where your fuel comes out. This is your main discharge right here. And so your accelerator pump, when this is on, you're going to get fuel squirting out of here. So be sure those are clean. And you may have to get a real small wire on those in order to get in there. But anyhow, just make sure this is really clean, because you can have one side stopped up and then you're going to have a dry side. Okay, so actually put this in afterwards. I'm sorry. Okay, put your assembly on there, and then your check weight goes on there. This is kind of a special screw. Don't put just any in there, because it's hollowed out and has a hole here for the fuel to come up through to feed your discharge here. And your check weight goes into here. I suppose if you lost that check weight, you could make one easy enough. Somebody called about one of those not too long ago. I don't believe they're available. Okay, so yeah, if you want to make double sure, you can check it. You can hear it shaking in there. And so there you go with your main discharge there. Let's see. So that pretty much covers the float bowl. As you can see, it's you know, it's not that difficult to do. It's pretty straightforward. And there's our gasket here. The gasket may look different depending on your carburetor. Some are just completely hollowed out here. Just want to make sure the gasket doesn't impede your float when it comes up. and you of course want to be sure it covers everything, and you got your holes. And anyhow, because the reason I bring this up is you may get more than one of these gaskets in the kit, because the kits, they'll put parts in there to cover several carburetor numbers, and one way they do that is by putting several different gaskets in to cover more carburetors. So you know, just be alert, use common sense, and you'll figure out the gasket. Okay, so that's the float bowl. We'll get organized here, as organized as I ever get anyway, and we'll go and put the top on it. Thanks for watching.